You guys are lopsided. Now I think we're straight. Anyways, hi friends. I feel like this angle isn't perfect, but we're gonna roll with it. Anyways, hello, my name is Caitlin. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I am starting my weekly reading vlog. This vlog is going to be focused on getting through my physical TBR. So in my last video that I posted, I picked the 7 books that I wanted to prioritize this month to read. So that is my goal this week, is to read as much as I can off of that TBR. And I'm really excited because I felt like I selected a handful of really good books from my bookshelves and books that are not my typical romance and fantasy that I usually gravitate towards. If you have not watched that video, go watch that video so you can see the books that I selected. But I think I'm going to start big this week, and I'm going to pick up When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. This is a psychological thriller, and I have heard nothing but great things about this book. I believe it's about gentrification in a Brooklyn neighborhood. I feel like it'll be really interesting to see kind of the take that she has with that and how she's going to explore that through a thriller perspective. So I'm really excited to read this and start this. It's not super long, a little over 300 pages, and I typically don't read thrillers because I get scared very easy, but you know what? We're branching out of our comfort zones. We're reading things that we typically don't read, and I'm really excited. It's Monday right now, so I'm going to start this today, and then we'll see where we go from there. And if we are able to finish this week, we'll pick up a next book. We'll see how many books I can read this week. Welcome to this week's weekly reading vlog. We are going to go ahead and start this one. I'm back. It's been a couple days. It's actually Friday. So I think the last time I verbally updated you guys was when I started reading the book, which was on Monday. It is now Friday, and I've been reading, but I've not been updating because my reading has been fluctuating throughout the week. I got sick on Tuesday. I don't know why every single time I try to film any type of reading vlog, my body's just like, no, you're gonna get sick and you're not gonna be able to read, you're gonna be able to update, you're not gonna be able to film. So I got sick. I'm slowly starting to somewhat kind of maybe feel better, I don't know. I'm just letting whatever happens at this point, but I have been reading When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole, and I started listening to the audiobook because I just didn't have the capacity in me to sit down and physically read the book. And honestly, I feel like audiobooks, once you start, it is so hard to go back to like reading physical copies of books, but you know, I go back and forth between it. But listening to the audiobook has been really helpful because I can listen to it when I'm walking to class, when I'm driving, so I don't just have to wait until I'm home where I can sit down and read, which has been amazing. I will say the voice actors for the audiobook are I don't know if I like them, specifically the male main character. But before we get into that, let's just talk so far, my impressions, how I'm feeling about this book. So When No One Is Watching, like I said in the beginning, is a psychological thriller that is focused on gentrification of a Brooklyn neighborhood. So we have our two main characters, Sydney and Theo. Sydney is from this neighborhood and she is slowly seeing it kind of being taken over by this real estate company. They're basically bringing new people in, bringing white people in to renovate the neighborhood, and prices are going to increase. The people who have currently been living there, they're essentially being pushed out of this neighborhood, right? And the people that they are, I guess, bringing into this neighborhood are, like I said, white people, and they're one of those white people who don't like white people, and they're racist. There's that going on with Sydney, and Sydney trying to kind of understand what's going on, and she's also wanting to have this kind of history tour for people to better understand the history of the neighborhood. It's like a history walking tour of the neighborhood. Our second main character, Theo, kind of where he comes into, he's one of those new people that are moving into the neighborhood with his girlfriend. His girlfriend is atrocious. Like, when you think of a typical Karen, that is his girlfriend. And it's very important to mention and to note that Theo is white, and that definitely plays into the dynamic between Sydney and Theo, because there is a little bit of a romance brewing in the background between these two people, because not only is he moving into the neighborhood, but he also is helping Sydney with her walking tour. They're both kind of looking into the history of this Brooklyn neighborhood and kind of getting more about the facts and what happened before all of these, people are moving in, and gentrification and redlining is going on. And it's really cool to see how Alyssa Cole kind of puts in this historical information and gives us information about, these big terms like redlining and gentrification and things like that, and how she incorporates that with the historical context of where we are in the story. I feel like she does a really good job doing that. It doesn't feel like it's like informational dumps. It just feels like you're just learning alongside Sydney and Theo. But going back to Theo is so interesting. Like, it's very obvious that he's the one that has a crush on Sydney, and obviously, like I said, he has a girlfriend, the Karen lady. There's no cheating involved necessarily, but they have a really weird relationship, and it is the way that it is because of the things that Theo has done in the past, just things that he's kept from people and kept from her. I don't want to give too much, but they have a very interesting, not so great dynamic and relationship. But that's kind of where we're at right now. And amongst all of that, there's just weird things that are going on throughout the story. So like I said, these new people are moving into their neighborhood. They're wanting to renovate it. They want to push the people who've already been living in this neighborhood, the black people in this neighborhood, out. It's interesting because the reason why black people are leaving the neighborhood is not, I don't think it's the reason that we think that it is. And I think that's where the thriller aspect is coming into play, because weird things are going on. Sydney's seeing things, hearing things, even Theo's seeing things and hearing things. And they're both kind of just like, this isn't normal, this isn't right, what's going on? I'm about 200 pages in right now, so I'm a little over halfway through the story, and I'm liking it so far. I don't think it's anything like I'm obsessed with by any means, but I think that it's interesting, and I think I've never read anything like this before. I don't typically read thrillers. I will say I do think it's a little bit slow right now. Like, I'm really interested to see when things are gonna start to pick up. Oh, I meant to say that Theo and Sydney, because I don't know if I mentioned, it is dual POV, so you get Sydney's POV and Theo's POV. But Sydney and Theo are literally like those two main characters from Dear White People, right? I'll post the two people that I'm talking about. They literally are the epitome of these people. And one thing that I will say that is so interesting and kind of awkward about this story is that some of the dialogue is just so like cringy, like no, it just reminds me so much of that show, because when I was watching that show I was like I understand what you're doing, but it's cringy. It's not working. It's not working. And some of the dialogue is just not working with me. But that is my reading update for when no one is watching. I am going to continue reading this. I don't know if I'm going to finish it today. I don't really have any more plans for the rest of the day. I have one meeting, and then I kind of have the rest of the day with me. I have the rest of the day to do whatever I want. It is Friday, and I said in the beginning that I wanted to do a weekly reading vlog, but honestly, I'm just going to continue this reading vlog until I want to stop it, because I felt like I got sick and I don't just want to have one book in this reading vlog. So I'm going to continue with this reading vlog until I stop it. We'll see how I feel at the end of this book, if I want to continue with this reading vlog or if I just want to end it right there. I'm frustrated that I didn't get to read as much as I wanted to this week, but it is okay. My body just, I don't know what's wrong. I feel like I'm always getting sick, especially like over the past couple of months. I feel like I'm always getting sick. But anyways, I am going to continue reading this, and I will update you guys probably when I'm done, and we'll see how the ending goes, and if I'm like shocked or if I'm like, because the last thriller book I read was Verity by Colleen Hoover, and that was just not it. So I'm hoping this is better. So far it is much better. I will see you guys in the next clip with an update. What? What? Damn. That's fucked. I hate this book. Wait. What is happening? One thing white people have is the audacity. Oh shit. Oh shit. Why am I reading a thriller at night? I have this much left. Do we keep reading or do we stop? Let's keep going, I guess. This book is giving me a freaking headache. Girl, the police is not your friend. Don't call them. What? Oh. She said, every last one of y'all. No one is safe. We just murdering people. Like, okay, do what you gotta do. She's like, you got one, I got one. They're just keeping tallies. You get to have one body, I get one body. Like, what? The anxiety that's going through my veins, like, so much is happening in less than 50 pages. We went from A to Z, 0 to 100, and I'm overwhelmed. Nigga, shut up. Why is he talking? I don't like this. This is so fucked up. Don't kill me. I have a son. I have a husband. You didn't think about that before you started engaging in the activities that you are engaging in? Again, one thing white people have is the audacity. Like, be so for real. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. What is with this back and forth? This book is not real. It's just not real. Why am I laughing so much? I'm laughing so much because the dialogue is just not serious. What is going on right now in the span of like 50 pages is too much, given the other 300 pages of the book. It's the last chapter, guys. I'm over it. I'm so over it. Hello. It's the next day. Let's talk about When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. So I finished this book last night, and as you guys saw by my reactions, I was feeling a lot of different things. I think ultimately how I feel about this book is just the fact that when I am reading a thriller, I don't know why, but I feel like in my head, I sometimes make it more scary than what it really is on paper. So it's such like a disconnect by what I'm expecting to happen next versus what actually happened. The pacing of this book was really interesting to me because I felt like in the beginning we're setting up the scene, we're getting to know Sydney, we're getting to know Theo, we're slowly seeing them come together and obviously kind of build their relationship and romantic dynamic that they have going on. But we're also kind of seeing these things that are happening in this neighborhood where Black people are moving out of their house, they're leaving, they're disappearing, and they are being replaced by these white people who are coming in and they're trying to renovate the place and essentially kick the people who are currently living there out. We're learning about the history of gentrification in this neighborhood, but not just in this neighborhood, but kind of in general. We're also learning about redlining, like a lot of these very important historical, you know, issues that are going on. So it's a lot, you know, but it's definitely a bit of a slower pace. And then there's like little weird things that are going on to Sydney that we're picking up and like, that's a little bit strange. That's a little bit awkward. Like, why is this actually happening? Like, let's revisit this. Like, Curse is gonna come back up later. And then we get to like the last, I would say, I don't know, 70, 100 pages of the book, especially I think the last like 50 pages of the book. And everything happens so fast. I felt like we took a complete 180 as far as like the characters and their personality and what happened in like the last 50 pages. I don't want to spoil anything, so I don't want to say too much, but it felt so bizarre. What was actually happening to these people wasn't bizarre. I think it was more so the actions of some of our characters. And again, the dialogue in this book is just so, it's so cringy to me. I feel like it was kind of like a similar premise, but a little bit different. When I was reading Ace of Spades, and I didn't love Ace of Spades, when I was reading Ace of Spades, there was something sinister going on. And like what that thing wasn't as explicit and wasn't like called on constantly. It was very underlying, it was an underlying tone in the novel, where I felt like with this one, it was like they're putting it right in your face, so it's kind of like, okay, well, it's very obvious like what's going on. I don't know. I just felt like the last 50 pages just felt really, really rushed. This is not fully fleshed out. You know what I mean? Like, you could have added a couple more pages, you could have nicked some things in the middle. Also, the romance between Sydney and Theo is just so unnecessary. Like, I thought I wanted to read a romance book after this, but after the romance between Sydney and Theo and just that whole relationship, I was just over it. Like, I just don't see the connection, I don't see the chemistry, I don't see any reason why they are together. And also, everything that happens in this book happens in the span of a week. I think when I was like getting closer to the end, I was just like, it's dark, it's heavy, it's sad, but it's also, I think, because of our characters, I wasn't completely in love with it. Let's just put it at that. So I ended up giving this book 2.5 stars. I don't think I will think about it much afterwards. I think the ending is probably the only thing that I will really remember, because again, like, the ending was just insane and so much stuff was going on. And I think that if the book had the energy of the ending throughout the entirety of it, then I think I would have liked it a little bit more. But again, it just felt like we were going at a very slow pace, and all of a sudden things are just ramping up and it's rushed and the story's over. And I'm like, what? I'm like, wait a minute, like, we need to go back, and then things were just happening. I'm like, wait, this doesn't make sense. And I'm like, this dialogue is so cringy. Then I was like, oh, it was just not good. I just didn't enjoy it. So this was kind of a letdown for me, but you know, it's okay. I'm happy I read it. It was on my bookshelf for a really long time, and I always wanted to know what people are talking about, so I'm happy that I read it and I kind of know now what it was about. I don't think this will be my last book by Alyssa Cole. I know she has another thriller coming out, which is a little bit different, so I might check it out. I also know that she typically writes more contemporary romance, and this was her first kind of dab at a thriller. But just because I didn't like it doesn't mean that she might not like it. So if this is something that you think would be interesting to you, definitely read it and pick it up and, you know, form your own opinion. But for me, I personally did not love it. So after I read that, I was like, okay, what am I gonna read next, you know? And I know that this is technically supposed to be a weekly vlog, but like I said, that's just not what happened. I was sick, and I was like, I want to keep vlogging as many books as I want to in this video, so I don't know when this video is gonna end. But we are still going to continue the vlog, and I'm still going to continue to read books on my TBR. But after I finished reading that, I took a look at my TBR and I was like, okay, I don't know why, but Theo and Sydney just gave me the ick, and I don't want to read a romance. I just don't want to read a book that is predominantly about a romance. Like, I just don't want to do it. But I also was like, I'm not really in the mood to read a fantasy. I was like, I don't know, I just want to read something different again. Like, thriller was something out of my comfort zone. It was something different. I kind of just want to read a genre that's kind of on the same lines. Like, I want to read something different. And one of my prompts was a book that you know nothing about, and I ended up choosing Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. And that is what I started reading last night. I took the dust jacket off because I don't know, it kept moving when I was reading, and that was annoying. I started reading Masters of Death last night, and I didn't get very far. I think I got maybe like not even two chapters. The prelude and then the first chapter. And I will say, this is going to be very different. I really only bought this book because of the inside. I have shown this so many times on my channel. I'm obsessed with it. It's just so beautiful. Like, I want a print of just this, please. So I'm really going into it very, very blind. And I also don't think I've read a book that was told in second person in a really long time. I don't know if the whole book is told in second person, but at least the first chapter, it felt like this character was kind of like introducing us to the story. And I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. I don't know if the main character or one of the main characters is like supposed to be like the devil or something like that, and we're learning about his son. I don't really understand completely, but I'm really curious to see all of this come together. I've also heard this is really character driven, and I love character driven books. I started the audiobook and I'm very intrigued to see how that's gonna go. This is our next book, Masters of Death. I'm going to work right now, but this week actually, happy Sunday, is spring break. So hopefully I will have a lot more time to read and relax and get this vlog going. You know what I mean? We had a little bit of a slow week last week, but I'm excited to, you know, continue reading. And honestly, just looking at my TBR and being like, these are the books that you have to pick from, I'm like, you know what? I can do this. It's doable. I got this. That's all I have to say. I'm about to be late for work. I will see you guys in my next clip when I have updates. So I am back with a reading update. I am currently on page 103 of Masters of Death, and I can provide you guys with kind of my first impressions now that I've made some headway into the book. I think I'm about 20% in right now, and I'm having a really fun time reading this. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, when I started it, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna understand what's going on. Like, there's just so many different creatures and characters, and the writing in the beginning was something different that I'd never really kind of read before, and vocabulary being used, I don't know what that word means, and I was like, do I have the brain power right now to even get through this? But when I tell you guys, I have just been enjoying every page, every chapter, every single character. It's just so much fun. I love reading new authors, at least authors that are new to me, because it's just so exciting, because it's just like, I have no expectations. Obviously, like, I know people say that this author is amazing and she has really great writing and her stories are super unique and everything, but I'm really going into it pretty blind because I really didn't know what this book was about. And now that I'm getting a little bit more into it, it's like, okay, I see where we're going. I see the plot forming. I understand what's going on a little bit better now. So this book follows our two main characters, even though there's kind of like a ensemble of a cast going on. And I love books where there are multiple characters and they're all kind of like the main characters. Like, think of Six of Crows. Everyone's a main character. That's kind of what this book is giving. Even though these two main characters are very distinct and like these are like the main characters, like the leading cast, I still feel like the other characters have such a unique voice in the story, and we get glimpses of their past and kind of how they came to be and how they got to where they are now. And it's just really, really cool kind of seeing how everyone kind of fits this situation and the setting and what's going on. So our two main characters are, I almost want to call him Felix, and that's not his name. His name is Fox. We have Fox, who is the godson of Death, and Death is super interesting. He's a character, but he's not, it kind of seems like an abstract concept. Like, he's something. We got a little glimpse of kind of their relationship in the beginning, and I loved it. I'm so excited to learn more about that relationship. Yeah, so Fox is the godson of Death, and he is, I think he's immortal, and he's a medium, so he helps people communicate with their like lost ones and things like that. However, he's a fraud. He actually is not a medium. He cannot communicate with the dead. He uses death as the person who communicates with the dead and pretends that he's communicating with the dead. It's so funny. And one of the first scenes is him kind of helping a woman grieve, and he uses it to his advantage, and it's so funny. I think he's hilarious. So there's Fox, and then there's, I think her name's Viola. I don't know where I'm forgetting, yeah. Viola, or V, and she's a vampire, but she's a special type of vampire, and she's a real estate agent, and she's trying to sell this mansion, but she can't sell it because it's haunted, and the person who's haunting the mansion is a ghost. Got stabbed. I don't know if I'm telling you guys too much. Anyways, he got stabbed. He doesn't know why. He doesn't know who stabbed him, but he got stabbed, and he's kind of haunting the house because he's like, I don't want you to sell my mansion. And he, like, you know, is knocking things over, and people are like, bro, this place is haunted. We're not gonna buy it. So she's trying to sell this house. She's trying to get rid of the ghost, figure out what happened with him, so I guess he can move on and pass on. So she reaches out to Fox because he is the connection to Death, and is like, hey, can you bring Death over and can we figure something out so we can get this man out of the house so I can sell this house and make my money and my coin? And he's like very hesitant in the beginning, but his group of friends are like, Fox, just do it, bro. So I'm at the point where they're going over to the mansion and trying to figure out what's going on. And I guess maybe Death is going to be a part of the story a little bit more now. I don't know, but it is so So good. It's so much fun. Like I said, I love the writing. This whole book is supernatural creatures. I think it's like urban fantasy because yes, they're supernatural creatures, but they're living in modern times. So there's a vampire who is V, a medium who is Fox. There's death. There's an angel. There's a soldier of Lucifer who's called a Reaper. There's a demon. I just feel like I'm scratching the surface as to what this book is about right now. I've just started the journey and I'm so excited. I don't know why, but I have a feeling I'm going to get emotional over this book. But I think that's all I have to say right now. Maybe things will come to me as I'm going and reading along, but I wanted to sit down and give you guys my first impressions and an update before I get too far in the book and I'm like, oh, I never updated you guys. I'm going to continue reading and I will come back on here when I have more things to say and we've made a bigger dent into the book. Mentioned this in my last update, but it kind of reads like a play, like a dramatic play is what this book is reminding me of, and I love it. I love it so much. I love the characters, I love the dynamics, I love the interactions, I love the conversations. Like, it's just a good group of characters and the plot is also really interesting. The writing is just the cherry on top of everything. I'm like halfway, not even halfway, I'm not halfway in, but I'm almost halfway in, and I feel like now that the course of the book is kind of changing a little bit, things are gonna get intense. Also, there's definitely a little bit of a romance brewing and I'm so happy about that. Well, there's like, I feel like multiple romances kind of brewing in the background and we're kind of realizing, oh wait, some of these characters that we're seeing interact with each other have a past, because you're getting glimpses of their past and like maybe potentially what happened and you kind of put two and two together, but it's not completely told. Immortality is empty without you. I can't. Oh my god. Miss Blake? Her pen? I can't do this right now. I can't do this right now. I'm gonna cry. No, I can't read this. I'm fine. I'm okay. It's not sad. It's not sad. Oh god. Okay, we're gonna stop reading right there. I am on page 320. I have this much left to read. I'm already getting really emotional and I fear that the next couple of chapters are just going to hurt. And it's almost midnight. I have to go to the schools tomorrow. I don't have the mental capacity to be crying all night. So I'm going to save the ending of this book for tomorrow night, and you guys we'll get to see how I react to that. But before I jump off, I want to give kind of my thoughts right now as to how this book is going for me. I am obsessed. I am obsessed with Masters of Death. Let me put the dust jacket on so it looks better when I'm holding it. I don't remember the last official update I gave you guys. It's Wednesday now. I don't remember the last time I updated you guys. I have been reading this book as I go throughout the week, and I can just say that I genuinely love this book so much. I think the last thing that I spoke about was how we have all these different characters, but kind of the main focus right now is that there is a ghost living in the house that Viola wants to sell. So she recruits Fox because he's the godson of death, and he is a fake medium who communicates with the dead, and she's like, okay, well, he would be the best person to get rid of this ghost in this house that I'm trying to sell. I am going to be honest, the book has taken a turn. The book has taken a complete 180, okay? That whole plot, thrown out the window. Forget about it. We have surpassed it, you know? And I don't want to spoil too much of what's going on right now because I genuinely feel like you have to go into this not knowing much, but something big happened that takes everyone by storm, and everyone's kind of like, what's going on? And it completely changes, I think, the trajectory of the story. There's this introduction to this game, this immortal game that Death is a big part of. He's a big part of this game. And the game is very interesting. It's kind of like gambling, but right now it's kind of like a tournament gambling game. I don't know. It's very, very messy. It's really pulling on people's emotions and their desires, their weaknesses. You're gambling with your secrets, your desires, your weaknesses, and all of those things. Death is a very big part of this game. It's just really crazy. It is kind of confusing. It's very high stakes, and it's usually only played by immortals, but something has happened where Fox, who is immortal, has to be involved with this game, and everybody is involved with this game, but specifically Fox has a very key role in this game. I just love the way that Olivia Blake is writing the story. I feel like it's so fun to read. Like, even though there are parts where I'm a little bit confused or I'm not completely understanding what's going on, I just feel so connected to this story. I feel like I'm having a whole theatrical drama piece going on in my head. Just the way it's written, and it's like scene here, scene here, scene there. It's just so fun. And the characters have just such a boldness about themselves, and they stand out. Like, obviously we have our main characters, like Fox is our main character, Viola's our other main character, but you have all these different side characters that are so intricately woven into the story, and it's just done so perfectly. Like, you understand so much of who they are. The way she kind of just tells us a little bit more of their backstory, and then we're back kind of like to the present moment, and then you get a little bit of their backstory and you're back to the present moment. And the way she kind of plays around with past and present tense and whose point of view you're going to read. It's just, she just has such a good time with it. Like, it's not a formula. It's just so much fun. And Death, like I said, Death is just such an interesting character. He's also like the overarching narrator, but even that kind of voice switches around. Like, it's not consistent, and I love that about it. I know some people wouldn't love that, but I personally really love that about this book. The main romance that's going on is really pulling at my heartstrings right now. Like, it's really, really hurting me, and I'm not gonna say who it's between. It's getting me emotional because we don't fully have the full picture between these two characters, and I feel like we're going to get it eventually in the next couple of pages, and I just don't know if I can mentally and emotionally deal with that right now. I just don't know if I can do it. And then there's just these like interludes that are woven into the story, and like I said, again, I feel like the story is like a play. So the curtains close, and then you have this quick little interlude, and you're like, wait a minute, oh, I understand how this connects to the story now, or wait a minute, this is gonna come back later on in the story, and it does. And it's just like, bro, I just love it. The way that we are just getting background information, we're getting present day information. It's just so fun. I love it so much. I am obsessed with this book, you guys, and I already started making a playlist. And one thing about me, you know that I love a book if I make a Spotify playlist for it, and I have done that. And I started doing that when I was like maybe 200 pages in, 150 pages in, because I was like, this book is making me feel something. The characters, there's one scene where it literally feels like a comedy sketch. Like, they're so funny. And that's just what I love about this book, is that we're dealing with some heavy stuff. Like, these are some heavy themes. A lot of what we're talking about is about, obviously, about death and immortality and what it means to be human, what it means to be mortal. It's just a lot of like heavy themes, right? But there is just this lightness to the story as well, and this humor within the story that is just so fun, makes it not so serious sometimes. And then you get to more of these like heavier scenes where the emotions are high and we're really diving into those heavier and more serious, you know, themes and stuff. And it's just like, okay, this is time to be serious, I guess. But no, I'm obsessed with this book. I love this book so much. I want to give this book 5 stars. I'm saying it right now. I think this book is going to be 5 stars. If not 5, at least 4 stars. Like, I'm terrified for how it's going to end, because I don't know, part of me is always thinking of the worst, that it's just not going to be a beautiful ending, but I'm like, I'm gonna be hopeful. Olivia Blake, you have made a fan out of me. See you guys at the end when I'm finished reading and I can give you my final thoughts. I don't know what this book is going to do to me, probably destroy me, but that's what we're here for. Yeah, good night. We're not buying anything. At least that's what I'm telling myself. Now, if I'm lucky and find One for My Enemy, Alone in the Ether, or Alone with You in the Ether, I think it's called, or the Atlas 6, I can't be blamed for what happens. Sorry. I need to read more of Miss Blake because I'm enjoying Masters of Death so much. Her writing is impeccable, as I was praising her all of last night. So I stopped at Barnes and I picked up 2 books. Why is this car parked next to me? The first one I picked up was the Atlas 6. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I think this one also has, does it have pictures? I freaking love artwork in books now. It's my favorite thing. I'm excited to read this one. I think this one is her most popular one. They didn't have One for My Enemy, and they didn't have Alone in the Ether, which I was upset about, but I was like, it's okay, I'll pick this one up. And I think she just put out the 3rd book in this series, so hopefully I like it. And then I picked up Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. I'm trying to get more into nonfiction a little bit. I also bought another nonfiction book. Sleep is important. I want to learn more about it. And yeah, that's not as interesting, I feel like, as the Atlas 6. So this is the first time I've been to Barnes and bought books at Barnes this year. So shout out to me. I almost made it to April before buying more books. People keep coming now, so I'm gonna leave and I will see you guys when I'm reading Masters of Death and probably crying. It's time. It's time to finish it, you guys. We are on page 320. This is just where I'm doing all of my reading. I feel like all of my clips have been me in my bed. That's just realistic for me. I really only read in my bed. It's just the most comfortable spot, and it's either my bed or my couch. Oh snap! I love this man. I love this man so much. Oh my god, again? Period queen! Every time he brings him up, I start losing it. Literally just seeing his name makes me want to cry. What does that mean? That is the most beautiful thing I've ever read. Oh my god. That is so, this book is so good. Who the fuck? Oh my god, look at this image. I'm not done. I just want to capture my thoughts. This book is just so beautifully written that it hurts. This book is just so brilliant. It's just brilliant. It's just a lot. The build up to this moment is so worth it. Like getting to this moment, reading those last final lines, it's worth it. I read so many books and you have like the love confession and you have, you know, we finally get to the end and it's like, what's this big secret? What's this big reveal? And sometimes it's not worth it. You're like, oh, the build up for nothing. This book, the build up to that one confession, that one line means everything. It's like your chest is just warm. It makes sense. It was worth the waiting, the pages, the angst, the questioning, the confusion. To get to this one point in the book was worth it. And that's all I have to say right now. I'm gonna finish. I love this book. I couldn't have asked for a better almost ending. You guys. It's been a day and a half now, I think, and I'm still just trying to process how much this book has meant to me. This book is my 7th book of the year, and I genuinely do not think any other book I've read this year matters. This book is the only book that matters. Like, I'm about to become so annoying with the way that this book is about to become my entire personality. I have been doing nothing but adding music to my playlist. I've been doing nothing but rereading scenes, getting emotional again. This book was everything. It was everything. I haven't felt so moved and changed by a book in so long. I feel like every now and then you read those books that just make you remember why you love reading, and you read those books that make you just want to read again and read more. This book just did a lot for me. I finished Masters of Death. Obviously, I'm giving this book 5 stars. Like, I cannot give this book anything less than 5 stars. This book is 6 stars, 7 stars, 8 stars, 10 stars. When I tell you this book is in my Hall of Fame, I don't know the last time a book made it to my like Hall of Fame 5-star reads. But this book skyrocketed. What's crazy is that I knew it was going to be one of the best books I'd ever read, and I was like not even halfway into the book. I was like, this book is already taking cake. It's already taking the cake. I love this cast so much. I love, again, I cannot say this enough, Olivia Blake's writing in this book is so fantastic. Like the way the scenes and the characters and the way certain situations and scenes were written, I felt like every word that was shared between 2 specific characters, but every word that was shared with all of the characters just punctured my heart. Like it punctured my heart. And it was her writing that did that. The amount of beautiful dialogue, beautiful inner monologue, beautiful narratives that I underlined. I've tabbed so many pages in here. I've underlined so many pages in here. I don't really annotate my books like with sticky tabs or whatever, but I want to. I literally do not want to read anything else this year, but just this book. Like I just want to keep rereading this book over and over and over again. And I haven't felt the need to reread a book ever, really, until I read this. Because now I'm like, I have to revisit this. Like I cannot put this aside and that be it. I just can't. If you have not read Masters of Death, I highly, highly recommend it. Is it confusing at first? A little bit. Is it convoluted at times? Potentially. I'm very big on just submitting to the story and to submitting to an author's writing. I mean, obviously if it's really difficult, then don't read it, but I'm just really big on just allowing the story to do what it wants, and I'm just here for the ride. And I feel like if you go into it with no preconceived notions and you go into it almost as blind as I did, I feel like you'll enjoy it. I really, really do. What else can I say about this book? I love this book so much. Literally means everything to me. I want to read One for My Enemy before I read the Atlas 6. So I'm gonna try a bookstore again and see if I can find that book, because I couldn't find it at Barnes, so I'm gonna try maybe Books A Million. I got this at Books A Million, so I'm gonna see if the Books A Million has One for My Enemy because I really want to read that one. And I heard that that one is more emotional, and like I cried when I read this, but I wasn't like bawling my eyes. You guys have seen me cry on this channel before. Like when I really am sobbing, you guys have seen me cry. I didn't have that with this book. It was sad, but it was like, there's like a beauty to the sadness, and there's like hope in the pain. I felt like I was able to cling on to that, so it wasn't sadness and I'm empty at the end. It was like I'm sad, but I know that there's going to be joy at the end, if that makes sense. So it's not a sad ending. I think it's a hopeful and beautiful ending, but you go through a lot of emotions and a lot of pain, I think, to get there. But this is a very strong standalone, like a very strong standalone. Olivia Blake, she ate 5 out of 5 stars. I wasn't expecting it. I was not expecting this. If you would have told me I would have gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, I would have been like, what are you even talking about? But I loved it. I loved every second of it. Let me not throw my baby like that. Let me gently put her to the side. But that's it for this reading vlog. This was so much fun. I'm so happy that I did this. But as a recap, I only read 2 books. So I'm like, as a recap, let's recap all the books we read. Babes, you only read 2. You only read 2. But what a range those 2 books were. So the first book we read, of course, was When No One Was Watching by Alyssa Cole. Didn't love it as much. Now that it's been a couple of days, it's been over a week since I finished this book. Again, like I said previously, I don't think I will really revisit this often, but I think that it's interesting, and if you are interested in reading it, you should definitely pick it up. But I gave this book 2.5 stars, I think. And then obviously I just finished talking about Masters of Death. 5 out of 5 stars. These are the 2 books that we read from my physical TBR, and I'm happy that we did this. I feel like it keeps me accountable, making sure that I'm actually reading the books from my physical TBR. So I'm really happy that we were able to get through some of these books together. And yeah, I hope to do more videos like this because, again, I think they're really fun to do. That's all I have. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and to subscribe if you have not subscribed already. Comment down below if you've read either of these books and what your thoughts are on it. If you've read Masters of Death, I really want to know your thoughts. Like, I want to freak out about this book with anybody and everybody. So if you've read Masters of Death, please comment down below so we can totally just fangirl. Now, if you read it and you didn't like it, that's okay. Your opinion is still welcomed. But yeah, that's it for today's video. I will see you guys in my next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.